Damned as the Devil's Decade, the years between the Wall Street crash of October 1929 and the outbreak of the Second World War in September 1939 were bleak and divisive. During this Great Depression, the old industries that had made Britain a great power were hurled into decline. As coal mines, shipyards, ironworks, and cotton and woolen mills shut down, unemployment shattered whole communities. With meagre support from the authorities and too little money coming in, countless families had insufficient food, fuel, and clothing, and were plunged into absolute poverty. Unsurprisingly, austere black and white images haunt the popular consciousness of the slump. Jobless men standing forlornly on street corners, beshawled women picking broken bits of coal on slag heaps, hunger marchers trudging to London, pleading for work and government action, malnourished and raggedly clothed children playing in drab back streets, uncaring officials humiliating those applying for help, and black-shirted fascists spouting their loathing of Jewish people. This dismal picture is reinforced by the starkness of novels such as Walter Greenwood's Love on the Dole, 1933, blasting against the hopelessness and misery inflicted by unemployment in Salford. Social commentaries like George Orwell's The Road to Wigan Pier, 1937, railing at the distress in the north of England, and Ellen Wilkinson's The Town That Was Murdered, The Life Story of Jarrow, 1939, denouncing an economic system that destroyed lives. But the slump was not merely a northern phenomenon. Other investigations revealed its disturbing and demoralizing effects in South Wales, parts of London, and much of Scotland, East Anglia, and the Midlands. Contrastingly, some historians have argued against this grim representation of the 1930s. Instead of the ravaged industrial landscape identified as 19th-century England by J.B. Priestley in English Journey, 1934, they concentrated on his New England. Inspired by the USA, it was crisscrossed with futuristic bypasses and arterial roads for the motor car, and distinguished by modish Woolworth stores, cocktail bars, and giant cinemas and dance halls. Buoyed by a rise in real wages, those fortunate to work in the expanding consumer-driven industries, mostly in the South, did gain from a new and prosperous England. With more money to spend, they bought modern semi-detached houses in the suburbs, Austin 7 cars, vacuums made at the imposing Art Deco Hoover building in London, electric cookers, radiograms, and other up-to-date products. Yet for all the affluence benefiting some, Britain was shamed by the vast swathes of poverty that overwhelmed much of the country, whilst the 1930s were tainted further by the rise of fascism in Italy and the Nazi takeover of Germany. It is little wonder that the decade was shunned by those scarred by experiences of insanitary housing, a lack of work and opportunity, an inadequate diet, and political extremism. The hungry 30s were too real for too many, and their gloom was deepened by unfavourable comparisons with the supposedly flamboyant Roaring 20s. Of course, this simplistic contrast ignores the widespread hardships of the 1920s, ensuring that only the sparkle of those years glitters. Young women asserting themselves by smoking, drinking, wearing short skirts, and embracing fashion. Youngsters enjoying themselves dancing to jazz music and indulging in crazes. And the privileged few bright young things exulting in their partying, drug-taking, and shocking excesses.